All right, Garrett Blevins here with Form Assess. Just real quick before we start, if any of you are kind of waiting for your videos to get done and it's taken a couple of weeks here just to get through some of the first entries, just so you know, this is part of the service that I offer with the group and guided programming services that Blessed Coaching offers. People can post a video per week, and I make a video covering that. So just in case any of you are looking for coaching services and have enjoyed this type of form review, that is something that is available to you. If you're good to wait, then continue to just email those in, and I'll keep going through as many as I can for free. Also, today I'm a little under the weather. You may hear it in my voice, and I have a different computer. So this is going to be even lower tech form review today, and I think I'm going to do 3 and then call it, only because my throat feels awful right now. But we're starting off with Thomas, who is view on squats. So first thing I notice is as you're walking back, you're looking at your feet, and this is creating a little bit of rounding in your upper back. You're probably attempting to really set your feet in the right spots, which is good, but I think it's leading to maybe a little bit of rounding and looseness in your upper back. That forward step there is something you should always avoid. Walk back further than you need to, and then step forward. Just get back and those feet set in the right spots. As far as your actual squatting itself, it looks pretty decent. Again, that head look down, I would just much rather see your head stay here. That movement in your head that you have going on is the biggest issue. Other than that, you're maintaining a pretty good back angle throughout. You need to work on depth a little bit, but those are your biggest things. Also, this weight is heavy and challenging, so as I've said before, you want the ascent of the squat to look the same as the descent of the squat. And as you're coming down here, you'll notice that as you come out of the hole and your hips start to rise, you very quickly get to a vertical shin position with your hips, maybe just about halfway up. Now let's compare that to your descent in the squat when your hips are about halfway. Notice the forward shin angle that you have here. What that's telling me is that you are losing tightness, and instead of depending upon your quads, you're depending upon your lower back to finish these squats out. What I want you to work on tempo squats, especially high bar tempo squats, can do this, where you force yourself forward until your hips get to this position, and then the knee starts to travel back. Also, pause squats, where as you come out of the hole, not allowing that knee to travel backwards as you come out of the hole, are 2 exercises that could help you with that particular issue. So that could be some training adjustment, but start working on that walkout, and don't look down quite as much as you are. All right, next video here is going to be from Mike, also with some squats. Oh man. All right, Mike, look a little shaky on the walkout. That might be something where you're kind of getting set, but be sure to tighten and maintain some rigidity through the torso as you're walking out. I think this is heavyweight, so it's not surprising. I think it's about 95%, actually, if I remember correctly. And so be careful. That's just be aware and stay tight. Don't wiggle too much, but it looks as though you're controlling the weight. Also, I believe, just looking from the size of the plates and how they relate to your body, you look like you're about 6'4", 6'5". I believe you mentioned that in the comments. But clearly somebody very tall. That can also lead to a little bit of stability issues when you're walking out. So you're going to have to really focus on that. However, you take your time and you get the weight settled, which I really like. And I can see that your breathing and your bracing is getting down deep. You're getting that air all the way through. And a pretty good bar path. One thing I'll say is I think you could be a little bit more in your hips and your knees in the descent. What I mean by that is, let's look at your bar path. You see how the bar travels forward and then it kind of bows back here at the end? The bar is getting a little bit forward on you, and that's because your hips and your knees are not quite moving in tandem to keep that bar over midfoot. It's kind of hard to describe that to people. This is, bar path is one of those things that's very difficult to work on. But basically, your knees and your hips have to be working in unison together to keep that bar centered over your midfoot. The bar starts at the very top. I can't see your feet here, but I'm guessing from the way that the bar path moves that this bar is actually a little bit more over your heel than it is over midfoot. So what you need to do is you need to just have slightly more forward lean before you start breaking at the knees, so that bar can go straight down and then come straight back up without any of the forward lean that you get in this rep. Again, watch the bar from here, right there where it starts. Oh, almost. So you start with the bar here, which is too far back. It then has to move forward over midfoot and then gets a little bit forward before you start moving it back. Feeling even pressure across your feet throughout the squat is one way that you can know you're doing this correctly. Your hip fast bar, there's just a slight forward lean here. Overall, your squat looks pretty good. The one thing I would say, and the best advice that I could give you, is to keep working repetition work, continue to add size to your body for how tall you are and kind of how thin you are in comparison to that height, and just keep working on getting that bar path as straight up and down as possible. I think pause squats would be a good way to help you learn that. You'd be using a little bit lighter weight. I'd keep the repetition range around 5s, and I would focus on feeling even pressure across your foot throughout the entirety of the lift. All right, our last video comes from Wooter, also a squat. Scrub through here just a little bit. Walkout's a little rushed. I'd like you to just take a little bit more stable steps. I'd also like to see you brace a little harder before you start. You really kind of whip into your starting position and go. I would like to see a little bit more focus on breath right here. Just a little bit more before you descend. Depth looks good. It's like you're rounding over just maybe a little bit as you stand. Right here, I think you're actually coming a little too far forward and you're getting a little bit of a bow through your back. I actually like the starting position of your first rep a little bit better. So this position here is good. What I want you to watch really closely is when you come up, what happens to your hips kick forward and you get a little bit of rounding in your lower back as you're standing. Then as you descend the squat, the first thing you do is you pop those hips back and you go into a neutral position. That kind of fast little start is how you get there. I would rather have you pull your hips into the correct position to begin with. Moving those hips back and forth can lead to SI joint pain and some other stuff. But I'll slow this down for you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So watch your hips here as you start the descent of the squat. You're going to see this boop for the first movement. And instead, I want you to brace with your hips in a little bit better position before descending into the squat. It's a minor change on the timing of how you start, but I think it's going to produce a more stable lower back position for you so that you keep this back angle instead of having that hip kick forward and getting that slight amount of rounding. Again, it's a very slight amount. Your squat, like overall, if I was to rate this, I would rate it at like an A- or something like that. It looks very good, but this is a minor change that I think you can make to help maintain your bracing under heavier loads. But you can't breathe and get that air in deep over kind of extended those hips. Again, it's very slight, but it can cut off your ability to breathe all the way down. Also, you may have to play with your belt positioning if your belt is contributing to that, which can be that way. Sometimes you're kind of like cutting yourself in half with the belt. In any case, I appreciate those of you who've been sending videos in. I'm working through them as fast as I can, but right now I think they're still coming in at a pace faster than I'm getting out week to week. Again, apologies for the shorter video this week, but just a little under the weather, gonna rest up and get back to my healthy self and consistent training. In any case, I hope wherever you all are at out there, you're doing well. Blessings.